Morning, VC. All right, so this is going to be a stack of records that has come in recently, and we'll go through these. I was somehow, well, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons, able to get a dig in Rochester. Dom and I had planned to meet at Great House of Guitars to start the day on the Friday before Christmas, and that day a blizzard got put into the forecast. That morning the roads were okay, the wind was whipping and the snow was going sideways already at my house in the morning, but the roads were still totally passable, and I could have got up to Rochester, and I think Dom could have made it as well. But he was coming from even further away than me. It's like exactly 1 hour. I think he was probably 2 hours away, or a little bit more than that. And getting back would have been a serious problem. Plus, they had a water main break up there in the city during the storm, which was crazy. It was a boil water advisory for Rochester, and it would have been dicey as hell to get back. So we canceled. Joe, I think, was in Watertown. He sent me a picture from there. They had feet of snow because they're right along Lake Ontario up in Watertown. So we canceled for Friday. Brandon wasn't going to be able to make it because he had to work Friday. So I was bummed. We did decide, however, to move it to Monday. But I think we did that not understanding how crazy this storm was going to be. And it ended up being, I've never experienced anything like it. I lived in upstate New York for 21 years, and it was crazy. I was alive during the storm in 1977, and I can remember walking to my grandmother's and seeing the drifts that the snowplows had moved along the side of the roads. They were all like, I'd say 20-foot drifts. And so that was just a lot of snow. This was a lot of wind. And in Buffalo, combined with snow and ice. For us, it was like ice and wind, and just it was blowing snow, but it wasn't accumulating. Just kind of these little slide drifts would be up along things it was pushing against. But yeah, we were lucky at my house for a while. The power didn't go out till 9:30 at night for us. Luckily, we had these little lanterns that are like plastic that run on batteries, so you could light up a whole room. We had a lot of blankets and stuff, and we hunkered down for the night. Our house was at like 70 degrees, and then it got down to 56 by morning because it was like negative 24 wind chill outside during the sustained winds. There were 70-mile-an-hour sustained winds for like 24 hours straight. I didn't know if the wall that was behind me to the house was going to hold for a while. I mean, it was creaking. The side door in between the two doors, it froze in there, and snow got shoved through the crack of our side door because that's where all the wind was hitting, and caused water to run down the whole wall inside of the door, inside the house. That's how crazy this was. My brother's house, luckily our basement at my house stayed 10 degrees warmer than upstairs because it was not able to be hit by the wind. But my brother's house is completely exposed. There's a back wall behind his kitchen that's stone. It had a crack in it, and then there's a gap in between there and the sink where the wood is, and it shoved so much snow through the crack, just a crack, that it accumulated a drift inside his house. My brother's house got down to 20 degrees inside. His pipes froze even before his power went out at 9:30. He had a pipe, it's like even plastic pipes, like going into the washing machine exploded. He had to get a whole new washing machine, a whole new faucet for the kitchen. He had other pipes that were froze. It was crazy. We dripped our pipes, and he did too, but it didn't matter. We dripped our pipes, and because it stayed warmer downstairs in the basement, our pipes didn't freeze. We were very lucky. We got to my aunt's in the morning. My Aunt Susie's, she had power in Naples, and then we went and spent the night because she didn't have enough room for everybody to sleep there, to my Aunt Julie's in Bath, and spent the night there. And then I think 1 in the morning on Christmas, the power was restored. Is when they finally got it up and running, because they couldn't be out in it the one night. It was too crazy. So yeah, we had tried to reschedule everything for Monday, but my dad, we needed the car in case the power went out again to get to my aunt's. You know, so many trees were leaning and tipped over, and the roads were not great. We ran across a guy that had gone off the road and smashed into a tree, and we had to call 911 for him. And then the deer were out running everywhere because they had been hunkered down during the storm, so there were people hitting deer. We ran into 2 people that hit deer. It was wild up there. So Monday, we had planned to redo it, and Brandon was going to be able to go if he could get out of Buffalo, and then they had a no-go zone, obviously, if you saw the news. So I canceled again for Monday, but then my brother, he ended up, you know, like I said, he had all this laundry list of stuff he had to get. So he was like, well, I have to go to the city and get all this stuff for the house now that the power's back on, and because he's got a truck. So he said, I can drop you off at Bob's shop while I'm going to Home Depot and Lowe's and everything like that. So I got in touch with the guys, and Joe was going to be in Rochester, I think, because of the storm. You know, that he had to go somewhere too. So him and his dad were in Rochester and came to Bob's shop. So I got to meet them, which was great. As turns out, Joe's dad is a record collector, so Apple doesn't fall too far. And when we got up there, we were about 30 minutes before Bob's shop opened at noon, so I dipped into Hi-Fi Lounge real quick and then hit Bob's shop. So we'll show all these records. First thing I'm going to show, though, is there's 4 records that came in from the mail while I was up there. The first is a rare 7-inch on the Rebind label from Keith Hudson, Old Broom, on the A side, and on the B side is Dizzy and Soul Syndicate, Riot. This very rare 7-inch, not in the best of shape, so it's cheap, but if I see anything on this Rebind label, I'm going to grab it. It's kind of one of my focuses going into this next year is 7 inches, just simply because of room in this house. If I'm going to be collecting records, it's probably going to be more of a focus on 7s until I get some more shelving in here and figure out room. And then I'm going to also try to stick more to my want list, because as you'll see in this video, when I dip into these record stores in town, I find stuff all the time, so it's dangerous. Next record came from Permanent in the mail while I was gone. It's a double, and I have the original first pressing of this record, but this was a rare issue they did with a silkscreen cover of Pelican Australasia, their first full length. And this is a double, and it's just a beautiful limited pressing, 1 of 1,000. Just absolutely fantastic. This is what, I can't see the number, 982 of 1,000, hand printed. And these is a double LP, and it's there's 2 different colors. Beautiful labels, beautiful pieces of vinyl, and sound really good. Great. One of their real heavier efforts early on. A lot of people's favorite, not my favorite record from them, but it's iconic. Instrumental heaviness from Chicago. Just a beautiful record. I didn't even know it existed, and I'm a big collector of Pelican, so when I saw this, and it was normal price. I jumped on it. I didn't even know what it was. I had to zoom in, and I was like, oh, that's Pelican? And I had to look it up. So that was a great find. From Permanent. The next record, this is the first Akora series record I've ever found. I found it on eBay. And it's one of the Turkey LPs. Les Art Vivant de Talib Azkan Volume 1. In this, musically, is one of the best records I've heard this year that I've found. This absolutely blew my mind on how good it is. The layering that you get from the playing is unreal on this. Most of the groups are playing the saz, and I love the sound of it. This is volume 1. I assume there's a volume 2 I'm going to need to find. Great French ethno label. This is what, from 1980. Amazing album. This is a highly recommend from me. Yeah, I think this was one that Rob at Sound Strange had showed. As a matter of fact, I know he did, because I remember this face, this dude. Phenomenal playing throughout this. Yeah, this is a stunner. This is a record I have to thank Chris Cole, Record Wonderland. Again, they always hook me up. This is a very rare ECM. David Holland and Derek Bailey, improvisations for cello and guitar. First time ever seeing it, and so was able to get it from them. First German press. Phenomenal improvised free jazz. Big long pieces on here. Just a whole side long piece and then 2 on the B. Phenomenal playing. 1971. And a unique album. So that's what came in while I was gone in the mail. So we'll go to the Rochester dig. As I said, I dipped into Hi-Fi Lounge. They have a good variety of stuff. Not a whole lot of quantity, but quality. Their focus, I think there was a lot of people bringing in equipment to get serviced, and they sell equipment in there. So it's kind of like if you go to Bop Shop to get your records, you can go into Hi-Fi and get a bunch of gear. But they do still have great records in there. And I only wanted to be in there like 15 minutes, so I really dug through a few sections really quickly, like the blues and the jazz. I found one record in the blues section used for cheap. Hound Dog Taylor and the House Rockers, Beware of the Dog on the Alligator label. So I grabbed this. It was probably like 1976 copy of this. There's a lot of different pressings of this. And here's the label, a white and green Alligator label, and the record is minty. And I had the first 2 Hound Dogs, so this was the 3rd release, so I was happy to find it. And I just had gotten the other 2, so it was just meant to be. There's some dope stuff on here. Let's Get Funky on the B side. Yeah, good electric blues, Chicago blues. I grabbed this just because it was a weird, I'd never seen this, and it was a Spain pressing, Art Ensemble of Chicago, Live Volume 2, or Volumen 2, on the Alvi label. Yeah, from Spain, part of the Affinity label. I think Affinity did some reissues of BYG. I'm not sure. This is a very interesting record. I had to grab it. Really cool label, and it was cheap. So now, of course, I got to find Volume 1, if there is a Volume 1 of this. That's always things about grabbing I'd rather find both volumes at the same time, but it just never happens with digging. Yeah, Made in Spain. But it's just one cut spread over 2 sides, written by Lester Boy, Bon Voyage. So that was a cool find. And then this was another cool find. This is a reissue. I don't think I would have bought an original if I would have found it, because it would have been out of my price range. I think it's a very pricey record, but Distant Voices from Steve Lacy, with a couple of Japanese players. Yeah, first time seeing this in the wild of any, you know, even this reissue. Who's on this with him? Yuji Takahashi on piano, and Takehisa Kosugi on violin, flute, and percussion. Recorded in 1975 in Tokyo. Really cool cover. This is going to be some out there stuff. Steve Lacy can get bonkers. So I'm interested in hearing this. I haven't spun this yet. So that's what I grabbed just in a quick 15-minute dig in Hi-Fi Lounge. And I was stoked to find those. And then I was able to meet Joe and his dad at Bop Shop. Really cool. Joe's wearing a Buffalo Sabres jacket, and I am a Sabres fan, so I was already impressed with the man. And then he knows what he's doing. Bop Shop's like his home shop, basically. And he brought records in for trade, some good ones. Got a lot of good store credit. I think he already had established credit too, and he put it towards some serious business in there. He found, if you need to check out Analog Archives Rochester video, because he pulled a few records that it's just some of the rarest stuff I've seen in a record store. So I was highly impressed. I started getting to work in there. I spanned the wall in there to see if there's anything there first. Actually, and this is the first time I've gone to a Bop Shop and not pulled anything off the wall. Nothing for me in there. There was a Joe Henderson on the wall, but it was $100, so I was like, nah, that's not feasible for me. Because I wanted to get a few records, not just like one or two big ones. But I did look through the Discogs listings they had before I went up there, and there were two on there that I had them pull. And then I did find, I think, one in the boxes that they have up near the wall, where that's some of their lower priced rare stuff. So I pulled this off Discogs, and this was probably my favorite find from there. Fred Anderson Quintet, Another Place, on the Moors Music label from Germany. This label has never been reissued, so to find anything on this label is always difficult. So this was a huge one. I love Fred Anderson on the sax. Another Chicago guy. Hank Drake on drums. Billy Brimfield is on trumpet. George Lewis trombone. Brian Smith cello. And bass, or stand-up bass. Yeah, this is a killer find. First time ever seeing it. And then this is another record I was interested in, and I decided to get it. It's the music of Norman Howard, performed by School Days and The Thing, which is Mats Gustafsson. And it's a limited to 75 copies pressing from Sweden on a big, thick, heavy-duty piece of wax. It's just, yeah. This has got to be 200 gram or something. It's a monster. Just plain labels. With The Thing being Matt Gustafsson's trio, and they're playing Norman Howard compositions. And I don't know much about Norman Howard. This was released in 2002 on Anagram Records, and so I've been getting into more Matt Gustafson stuff, so this was just kind of one I wanted to check out, see what it was about. And here we go. The one record from the boxes near the wall that I pulled was Andrew Cyrille meets Peter Brötzmann, 1982 in Berlin on the FMP label. Anything on FMP I find I try to pick up. Just some of the best free jazz. What a great label this was. I think it was released in '83. And Andrew Cyrille is one of my favorite drummers now. His intensity and his chops are just unparalleled. And Brötzmann's a monster. So that was a killer find. I was very stoked on that one. And then we both headed to the basement. I had hoped to dig down there for a while and see what I could find. But it's funny, I was wearing 2 pairs of socks because of the temperature outside, which is actually like something you shouldn't do, because all of a sudden I couldn't feel any of my toes. I had cut off my circulation. So I'm down there telling Joe, dude, I need a timeout. So I had to go sit on this chair near the heater, take my socks off and get my toes back to life. So I lost some digging time down there. I mean, meanwhile, he was finding killer stuff in the basement. I mean, I'm trying to just not get my toes amputated. That's how crazy it was up there. Yeah, -24 with 70-mile-an-hour winds. It was, yeah. But I did get them back to life, and I did search in one box. There was a Bar Phillips record that was rare, but I decided not to get it because it was like 3 bass players and a drummer. I should have got it. It was, I don't know, it was like 25 bucks though. But I did pull this. Extra Ball on the Pole Jazz label. Some great Polish fusion jazz. And this is an original copy. Never seen this in a shop before. You can always find wild stuff in bomb shops, especially in the basement. So I was happy I did pull one record out of the basement. It wasn't even priced. So it was a fresh inbound from them down there. Let me see what it's in here. Oh, there is the inserts in here too. I didn't notice that. Wow, that's really cool. Freaking really cool to have the insert. Original bag. I don't think I even have, this might be the first record I've found on Pole Jazz. I have a lot of the Musa label stuff. So yeah, I was excited to find that. This is stuff like Chris Cole would dig this record. Dave Wayne. Interesting, like the jacket is interesting material too. Really cool. And then upstairs, I went through all the used jazz, which he has really good prices on. His stuff on the wall is overpriced, but the used jazz section itself is priced to move. And I found this record, and it's a record that Mike Weber in my Facebook group had been looking for, as far as like he's looking for the Fontana original. I think it's the last he needs in the series with the great artwork on the covers. But this record got reissued on Freedom, and so I picked it up. Dewey Redman looked for the Black Star, and this was a cheap copy, so in perfect shape, so I grabbed it. Yeah, Jim Young piano, Donald Raphael Garrett bass, Eddie Moore drums, and I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with any of those players with him, so this should be really interesting. I dig Dewey Redman though, so I grabbed that. And then I did go through their blues section, and I grabbed 2 blues records. I grabbed this reissue of Robert Johnson, King of the Delta Blues Singers on Columbia. I think this is a 2006 pressing. The jacket's not in the best of shape. The record is minty, and it's a 6i replication on a 180 gram vinyl, like thick piece of wax. In really nice shape. Just looks unplayed, so that's why I grabbed that. This is this is going to sound incredible. Yeah, happy to find that. I've seen a lot of reissues around, but they're usually really expensive. Like Music on Vinyl did one, but it's like everywhere I look, it's like $40 or something. So this was a lot less than that. Yeah, very cool to find that. Yeah, I think it's 2006 press or something like that. And then I found this was an artist I had put on my want list as far as like a few records were concerned, and I found one of them, Buka White, Sky Songs. This is volume 2. Of course, now I have to find volume 1. On our Hooli, anything on our Hooli I've found as far as blues has been great. So yeah, I'm not sure what year this is from, but some great Delta blues type stuff. Let's see what else we got here. Joe was out doing his thing, finding rare gems in the back, and while he was doing that, I found the 7-inch section, which was dangerous, and I pulled 3 white label promos out of the blues section, and they ended up giving me one of these for free, so it was like buy 2 get 1 free. The first being this is a really nice copy of Howlin' Wolf, Backdoor Wolf on chess, backed by Coon on the Moon in mint shape. I was excited to see that, and yeah, these were probably some of my favorite find. I love finding 7 inches like this. And then the next one was Lightnin' Hopkins, white label DJ copy on Jewel Records. So Backdoor Friend on the A side, followed by Fishing Clothes on the B side. That one's not in perfect shape, but not bad at all. I think that was like $6. And then this record I couldn't leave behind just because I told him, I was like, I live in North Carolina. This needs to come home. Because the name of the song is 18 Pounds of Unclean Chitlins. And it's from Mel Brown on the Impulse label, and it's a white label promo. So it's song spans both sides. Love seeing Impulse promos. So that I grabbed, and that one ended up being the free record. So that was the dig in Rochester. I didn't have a whole lot of time, so I did kind of rush a little bit through there, and my freaking thought I was gonna have my toes amputated. But my brother ended up picking me up, and then that was that. He asked if I wanted to go to Record Archive, and I was like, no, I'm tapping out. I didn't even go to Record Archive, and it's just down the street. So that was the dig, and I hate it was for the reason it was. My brother's house was absolutely just annihilated from that storm. There's so much stuff he had to fix. It's just crazy. But a lot of people had it worse. I mean, I think, geez, they've been unburying vehicles in Buffalo and finding dead people. It's not cool. I think they're up near 40 people dead. Unfathomable. So I got back to Charlotte, back to work, and had not planned to go to Lunchbox at all, but then I did see that they got this record in, and it's one I've been looking for. I was kind of surprised he got it. Omar Khorshid, Giant plus Guitar. This is reissued by We Want Sounds. It was put out, this specific cover was put out on Voice of Lebanon, which I have an original record on that label, not of this, but of a different record, like a belly dance record from Lebanon that I found at Repo for $3. But this is a dope LP. I love this cover. Egyptian musician. I'd love to find an original. Original is a different cover. It's got a scene of the river and of one of the cities in Egypt on it, and it's on a different label than Voice of Lebanon. Very, very rare record. There's actually been a few on Discogs, but they're way out of my price range. So this, you know, normally priced reissue was cool to find. Yeah, just great Egyptian guitar on this. Dope LP. And then I found one record in the used. It just stood out because I picked up that record in Rochester, The Thing, again. So a Mats Gustafsson album. Don't see this stuff here in the States much. This is on Trost Records from Austria. I think this is from 2017. And they do a Frank Lowe composition on here, which is another reason I picked it up. It's a gatefold. Very stoked to find that. He actually has another copy, which is crazy. He had two copies of this. Maybe it was just, maybe he had gotten these in and they were dead stock or something, and he just decided to mark them as used. I don't know. Very cool. And then that's all I got at Lunchbox. And then I had to get sleeves. I was out of sleeves again. So I hopped into, had to go get my tires light came on in my car because it had been down to 9 degrees in Charlotte even, and the power was out here. They did rolling blackouts here. So I had to take the car in to get the tires looked at. They were fine. They just needed air put in them. Because the car sat in the airport during all this weather. And then on the way back, I stopped into Repo to get the sleeves, and I found one record that was marked $5, and Jimmy gave it to me basically for Christmas, which was nice of him. Charlie Parker, Bird Symbols, on the Charlie Parker Records label. So this was a nice gift from Jimmy. It's a gatefold. And there's some great stuff on here. A Night in Tunisia, you know, with Miles Davis on trumpet with him. There's another lineup on side 2 that's got Miles on trumpet with Duke Jordan on piano, Tommy Potter bass, and Max Roach drums with some great cuts on there. Here's the Charlie Parker label. This one's not in the best of shape, which is probably why he gave it to me. But I'm happy to find this. This is from that collection again. Heavy duty jacket. Some Bird Symbols from Charlie Parker. I hadn't picked up a Charlie Parker record in years, so I'm stoked to find that. And then I picked this record up. Eric Weinbender had been talking about the Blaxploitation records, and it got me thinking I need to look at the Willie Hutch section. And they had this record, and so I grabbed it, Foxy Brown. It's a reissue, and a nice one, like 180 gram from some years back. This has been sitting in the shop. Let's see if I can get the record on it. It's a nice, really nice sleeve, and it's like 180 gram copy. Let's see if I can get this out here. Yeah, on Motown label. Dope LP, and we now have it in the collection, finally. The only Blaxploitation records I had were some of the James Brown stuff. So, and Foxy Brown, love this. This is a great flick too. Pam Grier is a goddess. So there you go, long video. Hope you're all well. Peace.